PTSD leaves many veterans in a state of hopelessness. Unfortunately, therapy and medication does not help everyone.
Now some researchers think a well-known party drug has the serious potential to help end the suffering. In tonight's reality check, News 13's John Lee has the story of one man who says it works.
He's a long way from the battlefield, yet it's taken years to find peace.
She's half Beagle, half Yorkshire Terrier.
Come on, baby. Come on, let's go here.
Yeah, she's a huge joy in my life.
With Kiko by his side, Nigel McCurry is on the run.
Daddy's little girl. She's on a film right now.
And after a decade trying to outrun the trauma of war in Iraq, the former Marine tells us he's finally in a good place.
And I was in frontline combat. I was in the infantry, and I went through a lot of experiences that really turned on a survival part of my psychology.
He owes his life to that survival mentality, but as many veterans have learned, it's not easy to just turn off. For years, his personal life was in shambles.
It destroyed it. I felt like my life was over, and after years of having this feeling, I felt like I couldn't take it anymore. I was at my rope's end. I suffered with PTSD after coming back from the war. For about 7 years, it went undiagnosed.
Nigel thinks he's found the lifeline that pulled him from despair.
It's unbelievable, and I want it to be offered to more veterans.
Telling fellow vets about the PTSD treatment he thinks saved his life.
Kind of brings you to a point where your defenses are lowered.
His source of healing is called MDMA.
This is the same drug that is known on the street as ecstasy, but this is a pure pharmaceutical form.
First one is green.
A few years ago, he took part in an experimental study of MDMA-assisted psychotherapy. The Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies conducted that research, and Nigel says the treatment wasn't some kind of rave.
Yeah, it wasn't like they gave me a bottle of ecstasy and said, go home. It was strictly in the therapeutic setting during the session, and then I stayed there the night. I wasn't allowed to drive.
According to the MAPS website, MDMA increases hormones, allowing patients to discuss memories openly, while decreasing brain activity linked to fear and trauma, claiming 83% of those in the study were no longer diagnosed with PTSD at their 2-month follow-up visit.
Conflict between the inner and the outer.
Research that keeps pointing to it being a really legitimate tool. It gave me healing that I was looking for the whole time.
Nigel says 5 therapeutic sessions had a lasting impact and that his PTSD symptoms are now manageable.
It gave me such peace in some areas of my life. I'd struggled with not being able to sleep since I was in combat.
And with so many in the grips of a losing battle against PTSD, he figures MDMA is worth a shot, especially after his dear friend, who's also a vet, committed suicide after struggling with the stress.
It's just as bad as having your friend killed in combat next to you. It's the same thing because he's your brother back here just like he's your brother over there. And yeah.
Nigel says that loss drives him.
It's hard.
Pushing for wider acceptance of a drug that gave him a weapon in a seemingly hopeless fight.
It's really important to me because it's a personal story, but it's also I want to help the world.
John Lee, News 13.